Welcome back, Mistakes listeners. This is Dave, and it's Parenting Mistakes time. This week we looked at a show called Turbo Fast. This for us would be episode 24. We recorded this on September 12th, 2015. Hey, if you're interested, you can actually follow us on Twitter at Parent Mistakes and or like us on Facebook at Parenting Mistakes. We would love to get some of your feedback, possibly suggestions. Anything would be great. Anyway, sit back and enjoy the show. So, Todd, I was thinking about you when I was thinking about this particular intro. I was remembering some things. So, probably if you're coming into the show right now, Todd and I have been friends since, I'd say, 7th grade. I don't really remember connecting with you until, say, about 8th grade.
Correct.
I really calling you out and going, I kind of like that guy. He's kind of got his act together. Not that I would ever have told you that in 8th grade because that would have just been weird.
Yeah. 8th graders don't share that kind of stuff.
But definitely, you were one of the names I put down. By the time we went to state trip, you were definitely one of the names I put down to go on state trip.
Yes, we tooled around the Olympic Peninsula together.
Correct. Did you put my name down?
I don't even remember us putting names down.
we had an opportunity to put names down, and I put all of my buddies down, and I also put a couple of the girls that I wanted to hang out with, and I got you, and I got the girl.
Which girl can we
say? I'm not gonna say.
Oh, come on.
No.
You don't think they'd actually listen?
No.
They could listen, I suppose.
No, I'm not going to tell you because that would be way too embarrassing.
Okay, so now I'm going to have to go back and look at pictures.
Oh, you'll never know.
Could I guess one?
No.
Nope.
We're
all adults here. It's okay. It's okay to say, hey, I had a crush on you when I was, whatever.
In 8th grade?
No,
it's still...
What, it's too fresh? You're in your 40s.
43. It is still too fresh. We'll get back to this when I'm older.
I know who it was.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I totally know who it was.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna say who it was.
No, you're not. Anyway, so that was way more history and a huge tangent, and not the direction I wanted to go. Okay. But I'll take you on another tangent. We actually went through high school together, and then we parted ways in college. We went to the mall quite a bit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I was remembering going to the mall, but do you remember when we went to the mall, we went to go play a certain game to get there?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Which one was your turtle?
I think I was Michelangelo.
I think you were Michelangelo too. I think I was Leonardo for sure because of the katanas. I love katanas. Twin swords. Chris was Raphael and Greg was...
Donatello. Yes.
Oof.
I'd have to double check that.
Yeah,
we should contact them and ask them that.
Well, I had my turtle for years. Remember we got the turtles, we put them in the back of our cars and all that stuff?
Yes.
Anyway, from time to time, I do think of us when I'm at the mall, and I was at that mall last night, right?
Bellevue Square?
Yes, correct. Yes. But... Well, I don't want to advertise for Bellevue Square. Hey, props, Bellevue Square. The collection.
All right, it's a fine shopping establishment.
Anyway, so we were up. You know that they have made the kids area even more improved. Have you seen the new improved kids area in that mall?
Well, given that I live in Los Angeles, no,
probably
I've not
not.
Seen it lately.
Yeah, they used to have the old kids area now where the Microsoft store is, and they moved it upstairs. It's gigantic, and it's like a circus, right?
Okay.
It still has the ferry and all that stuff, but now it's got it used to have a tugboat. The tugboat now is upstairs, and it's even bigger, and they have a big ferry and fish and all sorts of aquatic things. So all that to say is that last night there was a child that got lost. Who was up there? My wife and I were with our children in the play area, and we hear this kid that is just haranguing, going crazy. There isn't a single, I wouldn't say a single parent that wasn't getting it, but everybody could hear it. And my wife turned, and a Bellevue Square employee actually pulled this child to the side and was like, "Where is your mom or father?" This kid must have been like, I think 3 or 4, and the kid's just going nuts, right? Because they can't find their parent. And I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. I haven't seen. Typically, parents are very protective of their children these days. I remember in the 70s and 80s, you'd lose kids all the time, right?
Oops.
Oh,
Lost all the time. But, yeah.
Well, yeah. But these days, people don't lose kids. But here's the deal. When I heard the kid crying and I saw the employee, this is terrible to say, but I knew that the parent that had lost their child or had disconnected with this kid was a father. And I knew that the father was there, but just could not hear that screaming. And I thought to myself, I've become quite proud of myself. Now, I don't want to get into the division of the sexes and who's more skilled at other things, but it does appear to me that if a child screams, a mom can usually pick up that child's scream. Yes? Like, your wife could...
Yeah.
Oh, your wife's not so good at picking out child screams.
No, she was. I think I was pretty good at it too back in the day.
But did you have to learn the skill? To me...
Oh, I mean, it's a phased thing too. Like I can remember us having discussions, like we would be sitting at a table with some adults and we'd hear a cry or a scream, and we would discuss whether or not that was a mad scream or an actual in pain scream.
We could totally get into screams all day too.
Yeah,
I was thinking we could talk about Maddie's insect scream. I can always tell when Maddie has found an insect, right?
Okay.
Because it's this terrible scream of I just saw a bee or something. Anyway, I actually have really had to work on because I'm a stay-at-home dad. I've really had to work on my maternal instincts.
Yes.
Matriarchal instincts.
No, that's not what you want.
Okay. I'm just giving you the best word.
You're
that
not
I know.
the matriarch. You're the patriarch.
But I've had to work on my matriarch skills, right?
Maternal.
Ah, that's it. Maternal.
Yeah. Break out the thesaurus. The thesaurus. Okay, so the audience is on the edge of their seats. Did the kid get found? Did the parent show up?
Lo and behold, in the very corner of the play area, there was a father, I kid you not on his phone, not talking to anybody, just sitting there literally kind of just staring at the wall.
And all of a sudden he kind of woke up and...
The person walked in with his child, and he literally turns and goes, Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I guess that's my kid. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it was a dad. It was not a trained stay-at-home father.
Well, I guess we all have moments of zoning out. We just hope it doesn't happen in public when our child is wandering free.
Any child screams right now, I have really worked that skill to just, bam, I'm there. You know.
Okay.
Although it's different when I'm in a crowded room because I don't want to be the guy that's staring at the parents that've got the problem child because I don't want to be that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's that kind of scream as well, like, oh, that kid just screamed throughout the entire auditorium, and either there's going to be people looking at them, right? But I've been there, right? I've been the parent that had the kid that screamed, and I'm embarrassed or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I understand.
Okay.
Can I before we move on though?
Yeah.
Can I correct your memory a little bit?
What is my no?
We did not go play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the video game, at the mall.
No, we went to the bowling alley. But we had to get through. Typically, we ran down...
Which is now at Barnes & Noble, I believe.
Oh, well, yeah. The bowling alley is now at Barnes & Noble's.
Yes.
Right. Correct. But typically, we would run through the mall to get to the bowling alley. Don't ask me why. Maybe we ate there? I don't know.
Possible.
I do remember looking ridiculous running through the mall, acting like I was a teenage mutant, but...
I don't know if we actually ran. Did we?
Of course we did. We were
Moved
17.
Quickly?
We were 8. We
Moved
ran.
quickly.
We ran.
So you're saying we moved sort of turbo fast through the mall. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely! Yes! Yes, we did. Turbo fast.
Was that a forced segue?
No, it was a good one.
Okay, so so we watched the show Turbo Fast.
Right.
Okay.
Which is not the movie Turbo.
No, but this is DreamWorks. Yet another Netflix original series. We like Netflix.
We do.
Yeah, it's convenient. That's all right.
Or is it lazy?
Well, I was thinking about this because you and I have talked about this. We tried to stay sort of current with the stuff that we watch, but I know that parents these days, and I think kids, will get on Netflix and watch just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So there are kids that are watching shows that are 5 years old that they just now discover.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit
totally
that way too.
No, and I've often thought that wouldn't it be interesting to watch some of these retro shows because I know that my daughter has sat there and watched Transformers G1.
Okay.
Right.
Is that one on Netflix right
Yeah,
now?
oh, of course it is. Yeah, all this stuff. Yeah,
Oh.
I think the entire Macross series is on Netflix. The only thing that's not on there is Star Wars. Well, Star Wars is not on there, but Star Blazers.
Oh, yes. That
Right?
would be interesting to watch again.
Oh, totally. But yeah, all of Robotech is on there.
Okay. All right, so Turbo Fast is a television series. It is based on the show Turbo, or the movie Turbo, done by DreamWorks. This features snails. Snails who, for whatever reason, have engines attached to them instead of shells.
Right.
I don't really know why. I did not see the movie. You did not see the movie.
No, I can just tell you by the preview that these are really fast snails, given the ability to go fast.
Yes. So, from what I could tell, they are a bunch of snails that hang out, that like to be fast, and they have the various characters of your standard A-team type gang, and they
Can I just say that the fact that these snails go fast is not that important to what's happening in the show?
Well, it's sort of the built-in contrast. They're
Yeah.
like, it's the ongoing gag.
Right.
The ongoing shtick where they go, "Hey, snails that go really fast. Isn't that hilarious?" It's sort of like some of the Disney shows that we've seen where they've got a gag that's just kind of a thing.
Right.
People with certain powers.
Lab
Hey,
rats.
look, we've got people that have powers,
Right.
but they're still in high school and they just hang out.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
these are snails with powers. They just hang out.
So this particular show is like many others that we've watched. It's a 30-minute episode, or we should say a 22 or 23-minute episode, but it's broken up.
It is interesting that Netflix doesn't have to deal with commercials, and yet they kind of stick with some of these times,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a 22, 20-minute, 23-minute episode, and yet it's broken into two 11 or 12-minute stories. And I guess there are some double-length episodes, but the one that we watched had two separate stories.
Yep.
Did you like this?
So let's see here. The first episode, in my opinion, was on the level of almost forgettable. It was the classic. The setup was I've got to get a gift for somebody, or somebody needs something, so I've got to race to get this thing. And the thing that was interesting there was that there are actually apparently rules in the mall. There's our segue.
Oh.
Right? Because this first
International-
episode...
International Rules of Shotgun.
Well, no. This first episode took place in the mall.
Yes.
Right? With a bunch of characters that have mall rules, right? There's all sorts
Correct.
of rules in the mall. And
Yes.
so he goes to the mall to go, I think, buy a gift.
Yes.
And he ends up haggling and making a deal in which he has to race a bunch of people, and they say that he can't use his... of all things, he can't use his fast snail powers. Like, if all the episodes they could give this character, here's the gimme, well, I can just race because I'm a fast snail. I don't need a car. And they're like, well, mall rules, you've got to have a car. It's a silly kid show, right? I can't... I got to put some concrete, well, that's just nuts, right? Here comes the critic. The critic's just Rotten Tomatoes time, right? Like,
Yes.
but I'm like,
Yeah, the premise is really simple. The plot is really simple. There's
And-
a few
yeah.
sight gags, and
all the characters are going to play into it, right?
Yes. Now, I was curious, just a side note, does DreamWorks have some relationship with Mario Kart, or do they have some understanding with Mario Kart?
No, there was, but obviously there was some.
This whole thing was like watching a Mario Kart race on
totally.
The Wii.
Right, I think they got bonuses. Right,
everything
here and
was
there.
there.
Right,
all the
everything
characters were there.
Yep.
You know, the smoke screens and everything.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that if my daughter watched it, she'd totally pick up on that. Right, it's just right. I mean,
So-
and here's the thing: why not? Right, most kids
Sure.
love Mario Kart. They just shoehorn right into
Yeah,
it.
this was cross promotion.
Yep. And why not? Like, and Mario Kart's fun anyway. So
Yes. Star Wars characters selling Volkswagens.
yes, exactly.
Nothing to do with each other, but by golly.
Yeah,
At
why
least there
not?
was sort of a link here in that they actually were racing. It did make sense. And there is a mall race on Mario Kart.
You're right. There is Mario. I
there-
think Mario Kart. I'm not sure if Mario Kart 8 has a mall race.
Yeah.
They have a. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
We'll
yes.
do a whole separate podcast on the appropriateness of video games for children. but-
Well, someday we could do that too.
Okay, so
Heck,
the
if we get a
second-
recommendation,
there
why
we
not?
go. So in the second episode, I don't know if this is a regular character.
So the second episode I found way more intriguing, and a little bit more on the creative side, for sure.
So the snails are hanging out with Tito,
Tito.
who has a taco truck and wants to get to the food festival. And his
I could see the writers sitting around the writers' table just coming up with this. And I'm sorry, it's pretty funny. It's a crack up, right?
so Tito crashes his truck, buys a tank for some dumb reason, and then somehow
the
becomes
taco tank. No, was it the taco
the
tank?
taco tank.
Or is
Yes.
it the taco tank that shoots burritos? Because I want to call it the burrito tank, but in
No,
the
it's
end,
the taco tank.
The taco
yeah, they call it
tank.
tank, yeah. And then somehow Tito becomes incapacitated on the way, and the snails have to try to drive this tank.
it is so ridiculous that it works, in my opinion. It's so crazy. Because first of all, you got this notion of all these snails that have got basically jacked up engines on their back, which makes them go fast, and now they're helping Tito with the taco tank to get to the food festival so that he can actually make some bank.
Yes.
This makes sense. This is the way it should go. Right?
So it's interesting again, and I always am sort of intrigued by, say, the dialogue. And I sort of say, all right, yes, it's a little kid, it's a younger kids show. Fair to say?
Oh yeah.
It's a younger kids show. It's hyper. It's more Cartoon Network, I would say, than PBS.
Yeah, but
in
here's
terms of its
but to be very careful here. I feel like the snails, Turbo in particular, is pretty grounded. Like I don't feel like when I'm watching SpongeBob, he's off. Something's not right in his head, right?
okay.
And I
Fair
don't
enough.
feel like Turbo is that way at all. They actually do kind of get it, and as the situation gets out of more and more control, their logic is we need to get our friend to this location, so we got to get from point A to point B. It's not just crazy time,
Correct.
right? And there is some sort of like, there's some jeopardy. We want to make sure our heroes get there, because I actually cared about the snails. I did.
So when I listen to the dialogue and I look at the symbology and that sort of thing, like at one particular juncture, the tank is like out of control. Like they can't turn it. It's going straight, and they're looking ahead at future obstacles.
Right.
And they say, "Oh no, we're heading towards," and I had to write this down. It's like the home of unwanted puppies and lonely grandmas.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, okay. I mean, a 6-year-old can process puppies and grandmas, but I mean, that to me is sort of that's like a college student line almost.
Sure.
It's a college student line, or a hey, we're going to write this for the parents.
Right. I mean,
I don't know if that's something where they go, oh, the 7-year-olds are going to think this is hilarious.
Well, the obligatory cop jokes in there as well, right?
Well, yeah, and that's what's kind of interesting about this. And again, that's where I always have these dilemmas where are we overanalyzing when we look at, say, the cop stereotypes?
Well,
so for example, the tank is rolling through the streets out of control.
There was only one thing I found disturbing that I couldn't recommend, but everything else, right? There was one mistake that I could see in there. I was like, I don't really care for this.
Which was?
Well, okay. Well, if you want to follow up on the cop joke, like, is it fun to make fun of authority? Yes, we've been doing it since the dawn of time. Charlie Chaplin gets on screen. That's one of the very first things he starts doing, right? Yes. He starts thumbing his nose at authority. That's never going to go away, right? I don't know how we're going to beat that, you know. I mean, are we saying the mistake here is that we're making fun of cops? I don't think that's ever going to change. It's fun to thumb our nose at authority. And it was funny when they ran over the donut house, right? And the cops were like, hey!
There's only one thing to do.
There's only one thing to do. They go to the donut house.
So they go to the next donut house. Well, but I was thinking about that. I mean, again, I get sort of stuck in my head of sort of saying, okay, am I being too grumpy? Am I overanalyzing? Because I think, do we want to perpetuate those types of stereotypes with our kids? Hey, kids, guess what? The police, all those people, all they do is act like buffoons and sit at donut shops.
Right, so that scene when they shoot the burrito can into that cop's mouth and he's like,
that's delicious. I mean,
I was actually cracking up. It was so funny.
Again, the stereotypes of society. I've been to a number of donut places in my time.
Right.
Now, granted, I don't hang out there. I don't sit and eat the donuts. Usually if it's like, oh, go pick up a dozen donuts for, the kids for youth group or something, or go pick up a dozen donuts for the teachers. So I swing in, grab the dozen on my way out. I can't say I have ever seen a police officer in a donut shop, ever.
Right.
I've seen him in Starbucks. I've seen him in Starbucks a bunch of times. I mean, we're going to start. Let's start doing more accurate stereotypes here.
You're right. And actually, I've actually never seen a cop in a donut shop either. I've seen them at Subway. I've seen them at Jimmy John's, right?
Yep.
I've seen them at Starbucks. Wow. Okay. I should hang out more at Krispy Kreme, I guess. I don't know.
I've been to Krispy Kreme. I've been to Krispy Kreme a bunch of times. No cops.
There's no cops there.
There's no cops at Krispy Kreme. I know some police officer is going to put comments on our website now saying, "We love Krispy Kreme. We go there all the time."
What are you talking about?
We like that stereotype. No, but I again, there's always this dilemma of, say, do we overthink? Do we overanalyze things like? Because when you contrast a show like this versus something, say, on PBS, you're not going to have on PBS a show where there's a tank, pancaking cars, blowing through police barricades,
They ran over honey buckets.
Yeah, I mean, just smashing through walls.
So yeah, just a side note, the thing that did bother me was the fact that the tank was running over things that potentially people could be in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That was like, okay, there's just a lot of disregard for whatever. I'm glad no one was in the honey bucket, right? Right. I'm glad no one was running that donut house.
Right.
Right?
And as someone who lives in Los Angeles, I don't think you have too many car chases in Seattle, do you?
Not like you guys do. No.
No. The freeways up there are too narrow.
I'm sure we have car chases, but they're nowhere near as great as how they are in LA, because you guys have a lot of freeway.
We do have a lot of freeway, and it just seems that every so often somebody gets in a car and just decides that they think they can get away, and a news helicopter spots them, and all of a sudden it's on the news, and yeah.
Sure. Yeah, in my history in Seattle, I think I've seen one car chase.
So, yeah, you go back to sort of saying, all right, are we being too conservative? Are we not, having a good enough sense of humor to sort of say, all right. But, you do also, again, think about kids, little imagery. So, imagery of cops, imagery of car chases, all being kind of good fun, and poking fun at. I mean, overall, yeah, I did enjoy the episode. It was clever. I thought the writing was clever.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue was pretty funny. There's some cultural stereotypes there with Tito that I think you got to be careful of.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I feel like writers sometimes with these shows just say, you know what, if we're gonna, let's either totally avoid the stereotypes or let's just embrace them.
Right.
Let's just grab them. Let's just go with them. Let's just name characters and do physical features.
Let me dip my toe in the minutia that is Turbo Fast. My conflict with the show, to be honest with you, is that, again, Turbo and a lot of the snails are pretty dang grounded characters. They're not against each other, and of course I haven't seen another episode. I'm sure they are at some point, but they seem pretty stable.
Yes.
When I look at something like SpongeBob, I kind of let things go crazy, because SpongeBob is not a grounded character. So, because I have I don't want to say a lot, but I have something invested in Turbo, and I want him to do the right thing. When things get overly ridiculous, I'm like, well, how could Turbo let that happen? He's a grounded snail. That's the only conflict I have that you might have with your kids too. Like, well, Turbo did it, right? Because Turbo's a respectable snail, right? Like, again, he's grounded. And I think that's the trick that the writers are playing here, because I want to see Turbo succeed. I could care less about SpongeBob, to be honest with you. Like, he's such a ridiculous character that I don't feel like rooting for him. But for the snails, I did. And that's where it gets a little bit weird. I'm like, come on, guys, just stop the tank because you're hurting people. That's what I want to see happen, because I quote-unquote care for Turbo. That's the issue with this particular show. Outside of that, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think I would recommend my children watch this. I wouldn't have a big problem with it, and I'd say we watch it together.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, it looks like Turbo made some decisions there that weren't so great. But Turbo's still a good guy.
Yeah, it's mostly silliness, as was evidenced by the first episode for sure. Pretty basic ideas. It's pretty, it's clean. It's sort of, benign entertainment. Not a lot of real great depth in terms of, moral of the story, but yeah, better than most, I would say.
We're never going to stop making fun of authority. It's never going to happen. It's always going to be this way.
That's true, but do we have to model that to kids so early is the question.
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
Right? If it comes up, geez, Dad, do cops all eat donuts? No, they don't all eat donuts. That's just a stereotypical thing you see on TV. And they're making fun of authority again. Why does TV make fun of authority? We go down that road. Because we love to watch it. It's funny.
Yes. Any final thoughts?
Well, did you, just to make it straight, did you like Turbo?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. As I said, I thought the writing was good. It was entertaining. It's just kind of there. It's fine. So.
You can follow us on Twitter, right?
Parent Mistakes. Yes, we're on
do you
Twitter.
Follow on Twitter? I'm confused about this. This is
Yes.
terrible to say. Okay. And then I know you can follow on Facebook as well.
Well, you can like us on Facebook.
Oh.
Like us. Like our Facebook page. Parenting Mistakes.
You follow on Twitter and you like on Facebook. Oh,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
You tweet on Twitter.
That's shame on me, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I use Skype. I like Skype.
It's confusing. So. All right, we are going to turbo fast out of this episode.